guys, what is going on? This is the Club of the Man 1993 coming at you. We are now on the 5th edition of my WWF/WWE, of course, SummerSlam Retro Review Series. We are out on SummerSlam 1992. Again, this is the 5th episode of this series. As I said at the beginning of this series, since I've been spreading these out, I'm going to be reviewing all the SummerSlams except for SummerSlam 2017, since I already did a live review of that on this channel. That will just be included in this playlist for the SummerSlam reviews. But we're now on SummerSlam 1992, which is probably at like a peak period for the WWF, as this was right before the steroid scandal in 1993, and of course also the time where a lot of the big stars were leaving WWF to go to WCW, and of course ECW also, and whatnot. This is the first SummerSlam that did not feature Hulk Hogan, and I'm not 100% sure, but I don't know for sure if he's in next year's SummerSlam. I'd have to double check, or I'll find out next year. But I know next year, in 1993, he does go to WCW. I mean, he just hijacked the main event at WrestleMania 9. But I don't know if he got to SummerSlam that year, or if he was gone by then. But yeah, Hulk Hogan was not on this show for the first time. We had a great WWF Championship match that, of course, did not end with a clean finish, but it was still a great match where it was a setup. What was the next feud for the WWF Championship, involving the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, and also the main event, classic Intercontinental Championship match. It's awesome. Both people came out winners. Getting the winner of the match that got to the level being like a solid mid-carder. The person who lost match, though, was obviously on the verge of being put into the main event scene for the WWF. So let's get into this review and let's talk about this. Now, this was also special because this show did not take place in the United States. This actually took place at Wembley Stadium in London, England. The date that this show aired was August 31st, 1992, but it was taped on August 29th. The opening match we had was Money Inc., Ted DiBiase, and IRS. Of course, Ted DiBiase was definitely starting to get up there in age also, so this is a pairing that was kind of needed to have to keep going. With Jimmy Hart on Legion of Doom, Animal and Hawk, with Paul Ellering and Rocco, who Rocco was just some puppet that Paul Ellering always brought out to the ring with him, apparently around this time. And I thought it was definitely some solid, back and forth action. Legion of Doom was definitely a tag team that was really over. And of course, you had like the Fuji Hall of Famer Ted DiBiase and IRS, who worked together a little bit better than I remember expected from when I watched the WrestleManias. And I wasn't really that big of a fan of IRS. So last year's match with IRS and Greg the Hammer Valentine at SummerSlam 1991 just didn't really appeal to me. But I still digress, and I think that they work together pretty well, and Legion of Doom would win by pinfall. So I thought, again, it was a pretty solid opening match. For the most part, most of the opening matches for SummerSlam have been pretty good. However, though, this was the last we saw of Legion of Doom, though, because for a while, because of Hawk's drug problems. So yeah, this probably will last for a while for Legion of Doom, as I said. So that was the sad part about this match, but we got that. Solid opener. But then we had a not so good match at all. A horrible match. Nails taking on Virgil. Just a awful match. Again, like I said last year, for 1991 SummerSlam, when Virgil won the $1 Million Championship, despite the fact that Virgil was not really that great of an in-ring performer, it was definitely, a decent to solid job done to, pull off an upset with him defeating the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase at last year's SummerSlam. But this doesn't really help anybody. And also, of course, what was worse, though, well, first, after the match, though, after Nails won by submission, he then took the nightstick, used to be owned by the Big Boss Man, and choked out Virgil afterwards, pretty much. Just, supposed to be a start of something for him, but didn't happen because a couple months later, I guess he got into a big fight with Vince McMahon, put his hands on him, he got fired or something like that, so he was gone. So don't think we're going to be seeing Nails again anytime soon, but yeah, horrible match. And we had this match. This one was good for what it was, but it definitely could have been better. It was Shawn Michaels in his first SummerSlam as a singles competitor with Sensational Sherry taking on Rick Martel, the model, of course. But the stipulation was no punches were allowed to be fired to the face. So this match was just weird. I mean, it was two heels basically fighting over Sensational Sherry, but Sherry was showing, her affection towards both of them pretty much throughout the match. It was basically just two of them fighting over Sherry, but again, the stipulation was they were allowed to punch her in the face. And the match for what it wasn't too bad, but I just expected a lot better, especially from Shawn Michaels match. Even though this is probably before Shawn Michaels turned face and became probably the biggest star in the company, especially in the mid 1990s, with just how thin the talent was after everybody went to WCW or ECW. But the match ended in a double disqualification when they both started punching each other in the face outside the ring. Well, there were some slaps, but the slaps didn't count as punches. When the punches happened, they were both disqualified. They were still fighting, and I believe it was Martel tried to throw a bucket of water at Shawn Michaels. But then instead of hitting Michaels, accidentally hit Sensational Sherry, and she went running out. So in the end, nobody won Sensational Sherry, unfortunately. Even though Sherry came out with Shawn Michaels beginning again, it was a heel-on-heel match, but they were both, fighting over the same thing. So it worked for being a heel-on-heel match. But again, decent match, but definitely could have been better. Then we had this boring match for the WWF Tag Team Championships. Natural Disasters, Earthquake, and Tugboat taking on the Beverly Brothers. Bo and Blake, the Genius Gang. It was just a boring match, and then just nothing really appealed in this match. It was just boring. Wasn't a big fan of it. No one had much to say. Natural Disasters won by pinfall, which actually also another problem was Natural Disasters were the baby faces this time. They just didn't really work well with baby faces at all. After the match, they take Genius and just throw him over the top rope into the Beverly Brothers, but they retained their championships. Just a bland match. We had another squash match. It was Crush versus Repo Man. Crush just squashed Repo Man by submission. The match was alright for what it was, just being a squash. But then we had this match, which was, if it had a little bit of a better ending, it was almost a classic, I felt, in my opinion. We had the Macho Man, Randy Savage, taking on the Ultimate Warrior for the WWF Championship. And then, of course, the story going to this match, is whose corner was Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect going to be in. Of course, there were two baby faces in the Macho Man, Randy Savage, and also in the Ultimate Warrior, about baby faces. So going into this match, you expect one of them maybe turn heel to be revealed who was actually, gonna, be in whose corner pretty much at this point in the match. Well, nothing was happening as far as that goes, but the match was still going on with the action. I mean, there was signs of respect began, but then these two of the best, just trying to bring out the best in each other for sure. But then later on in the match, when the referee wasn't looking, Perfect and Flair got into the ring, and they held back. They pretty much started beating down on Ultimate Warrior. So it seemed like it was going to be Macho Man Randy Savage going to take part in the match. But then, as the match went on, though, the drama was continuing, and it was showing that the Macho Man did not pay these guys to do what they were doing or suck them in. So he was getting a little bit upset with them because he wanted to win this match on his own terms and not theirs. So towards the end of the match, he goes to do it like some type of a splash or something like that on Ric Flair on the outside of the ring, where Flair takes a chair and smacks him right in the knee. And then because of that though, Warrior won the match by countout because Savage was really selling the knee injury pretty well. But Savage was taking the championship afterwards. Flair and Perfect tried doing beatdowns on them, but of course they got pushed off. And then Warrior went back to the ring, gave Savage the championship, showing a sign of respect, even though he was really selling that knee injury. And it pretty much just set up eventually for Ric Flair and Randy Savage to get Survivor Series, where Flair won the championship. Of course, it wasn't too long after that where Flair went off to WCW, though, because, of course, how bad in WrestleMania. Well, I don't think it was at WrestleMania 9, but yeah, he went off to WCW and then came back to WWE in like the early to mid 2000s, I think it was. But yeah, so it's just pretty much just accept that, but it's a great match all around. Definitely the drama, the story they're being told was just awesome. Just a roller coaster ride going through. Just a fun match to watch, definitely. Almost a classic, but didn't quite have like the finish that it quite should have had. Then we had, for the first time at SummerSlam history, we had The Undertaker with Paul Bearer taking on Kamala with Harvey Wippleman and Kim Chi. It felt just one of those, like, dull matches on Raw or something like that, because Chi came into the ring and attacked Undertaker, and Undertaker got won by disqualification, just 3 minutes. It was short, so nothing else to really say about it. As I probably said in my WrestleMania reviews, and I was told also, Undertaker didn't really have the best matches earlier in his career when he was still trying to find himself. But eventually, he just became the American Badass and the Dead Man that we all know as today. And then finally, we got this main event, this awesome main event. Dawn Hart-Smith was interviewed before the match because it was between her brother-in-law Bret Hart and her husband British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith. This was just two of, the next top stars, in the mid-card level, just trying to prove that they are two of the best upcoming stars. And it just went back and forth action the whole time. It was just awesome. It was a fresh main event that just brought out the best in the both of them. I mean, last year, Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect put on an amazing Intercontinental Championship match. And this year, Bret Hart and Davey Boy Smith put on another amazing match as well with that Intercontinental Championship. Bret Hart, after a while, did start showing a little bit more of a heel side, showing that, Davey Boy Smith, the British Bulldog, was not going to go down easily. Eventually, though, after 25 minutes or so, Davey Boy Smith, though, wins by pinfall, become the new champion. It was just awesome. The crowd erupted. It was a classic. It's definitely one of those matches that I definitely would recommend as one of the better matches of all time, definitely. This Intercontinental Championship match between Bret the Hitman Hart and Davey Boy Smith. I would like to go back in and watch this match again. It was awesome. Again, it's tough for me as a late bloomer fan to appreciate it back for what it was back then, but I still, definitely saw just the greatness in this match. Afterwards, of course, Bret first was just frustrated and resisting to, look at Davey Boy Smith, but then he turned and looked at him and gave him the sign of respect. Definitely deserved. Diane Hart-Smith got into the ring also to acknowledge, that both know she was proud of them. As she said she wasn't going to be rooting against either one of them tonight, but it was definitely going to be, just a great match to put on, and that's what happened with the match in the end. So great main event. I mean, it wasn't for the WWF Championship, but for the Intercontinental Championship. But it was just an unreal match. And with that being said, that pretty much is the show. So the show was about 2 hours and 45 minutes. Again, there were definitely a couple bad matches in the show, especially the one with Nails and Virgil, the tag title match, and the match with Undertaker was definitely just kind of bland and whatnot. But we had a solid opener. We had a great WWF Championship match, and we had a classic of a main event for the Intercontinental Championship. And because of that, because of the special occasion, I'm going to give my grade for this SummerSlam a really, really low B-. I was close to giving this a C+, but I gave this the edges a little bit into the B's, so I give it as a B-, an 80% pretty much for this show. Solid SummerSlam, definitely the best one I have seen so far. So what are your thoughts on SummerSlam 1992? Please drop down in the comment section below. And as always, sure to click my like and subscribe to our content on this channel, and follow me on Twitter at DemandAirboy93. I'm checking out, guys. I'll see you all later. So until then, have a great night, and peace out, everybody.